Hi, it's Twilma from Shure UK. I'm here with Simon Gogerly, who's a Grammy-winning engineer/producer. We're here at his very own Hub 2 recording studio in the lovely Essex countryside. Thank you, Simon, for taking the time to be with us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a mixer and a producer, and I've been doing that for 22 years now. And I've worked with lots of different bands, solo artists, all pretty much modern, current stuff. And I spend maybe half my time mixing and half my time producing these days.
And how did you get into this business, and who have you worked with?
Well, I started off at a studio in London, Mayfair Studios. I managed to get a job there through knowing people from having worked with a hire company. So I knew a bit about equipment and stuff, and then I got a job as an assistant at Mayfair where I trained with John Hudson, who's a big mix engineer from the 60s, 70s, 80s. He had lots of success with Tina Turner and Ultra Rocks. And while I was there, I worked with lots of really great engineers and producers, people like Bob Clearmountain and Michael Brower. And then after my 4 years there, I went freelance, and I've worked with producers like Stephen Hay, Boiler House, Sly and Robbie, and for the last 10 years or so, Nelly Hooper most of the time. So, and that amongst lots of other things. So,
excellent. And any particular career highlights that spring to mind?
Yeah, I guess it's always great when you have a hit single or something, and it's kind of, you know, that's the payoff for what we do. You know, all those long hours in the studio. When you have a hit single, it's always a great thing. And the first one I had was All Together Now by The Farm, which happened while I was still working at Mayfair, and that was really special because I remember going to work and hearing it playing on the bus. They used to play music on the radio on the buses in London, and I heard it on there, and I mixed it about 3 weeks before, and I thought, right, this is you know, something's happening here. Something's working. And then I've had various top 5 singles, but I had a #1 with one of the U2 singles from the Atomic Bomb album. So that was pretty special running as well.
And that U2 single led to a Grammy, I understand.
Yeah, well, the album, Atomic Bomb album, was nominated for Album of the Year, 2006. And I decided, I was nominated for a Gwen Stefani album as well the same year, so I decided to go to the ceremony and just, you know, take in the atmosphere. And I had no expectation of winning, but then the U2 album won Album of the Year, and we all hopped up on stage, and it was just, you know, that was something really special.
And we're here in your own studio, Hub 2.
Yeah.
How did this whole thing come about?
Well, I had, it's called Hub 2 because Hub 1 was basically my home setup, where I converted my garage into a small room just for me to do programming in, primarily using Logic and a small set and a few samplers, the kind of equipment I'd gathered over the years for programming and stuff. And I found that as the sort of big expensive albums and projects were that was contracting, particularly in the UK, that people were asking me more and more if they could come and work with me in my place. You know, we could spend more time, it wouldn't be as expensive, that sort of thing. And I started to realise that I needed a better facility than I'd got, and I needed to get Pro Tools, and I needed to get a decent console and all that sort of stuff. So I took the plunge a couple of years back and set this place up.
Excellent. And what are you working on currently?
Mixing wise, I'm just almost finished the next Underworld album, which has taken me the last month or so. That's gone really well. Looking forward to that. There'll be something coming out quite soon. And production-wise, I'm working with a Bulgarian singer called Bogdana Shivas. I'm producing the album, which I've recorded here and in the barn next door. We recorded the drums and stuff, and I've been doing all the overdubs and vocals in here. And we're sort of halfway through that now.
Sounds like good fun. I understand you must have a rather large collection of various microphones, including some Shure models as well.
Yeah, I've got bit of an eclectic mix, because being a mixer, I wasn't sort of needing to have lots of microphones hanging around. So, but now, over the last few years producing more and more, I've kind of collecting things. I've got a few old mics that I've always had knocking around, but I've started to get more vocal mics and instrument mics, that kind of thing. Shure-wise, I've got the KSM44, which I got primarily for vocals, and I've got an SM81, and I've got a battered old SM57 that I've had for years, and just keeps going.
Can we elaborate on the KSM44 a little bit more?
Yeah.
How's that worked for you? What do you use it on, or how does it compare to some of the other large diaphragm microphones?
Like I say, I got it primarily for vocals. I mean, I've used it for a few other things, drum overheads, for example, where it sounds good. It's a good sort of utility all-rounder. But for vocals, it's got its own character, which is really good. It's very different sounding from, say, my Neumann. I've got a Neumann TLM, and they've got quite different characters. And so when I'm recording a new singer, I'll put up 2 or 3 mics. I've got a couple of other big condenser mics as well, and just see which one sounds the best. And the KSM's been coming out really well, especially on sort of harsher, higher female vocals. Quite often, it sounds very smooth, and yeah, it's complementary to certain voices, and so it's good to have that sound there that's different from the other ones.
And is there a particular mic in your collection that you really couldn't live without?
Probably that old SM57 that I mentioned. It's just it's battered, and it's been in the bottom of drawers and flight cases, and probably had it for 20 years, and it's covered in scratches, but it still works, and it's obviously great for guitar amps and snares and what have you. It's just the ultimate studio all-rounder, I guess.
Fun stuff. And then I just have a couple of fun last questions here for the end.
Okay.
If there was one album that you could have worked on throughout your career, which one would that have been?
Gosh, that's a difficult question. But I guess the one that leaps to mind for me is probably OK Computer, Radiohead, I guess. That's a fantastic album. I was lucky enough to be working in a studio next door to them when they were making the Bends, and they're a nice bunch of guys as well, so I put them top of the list.
I like that answer very much. And lastly, what's the last CD that you purchased?
Ooh. Now you got me. I did get one. Just recently, I've just completely gone blank. I got the Last Elbow album, which I like. I like the fact that they didn't compress it to death in the mastering. Yeah, it was the most recent Athlete album, actually. Black Swan, I think it's called.
Black Swan.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of connected to work, because I'm going to be mixing a track for them in a couple of weeks, so I thought I'd better do my research. But I have got their other albums, so I like them.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.